Hey, Lee Robinson here at American Sentinel Canine. I am very frequently asked about our deworming schedule and our vaccination schedule. So we're going to go ahead and knock that topic out in this video. I've created a board here that shows what we do, but I am going to describe to you what we do instead of just read the board. Now, if you want to screenshot that, by all means, be my guest and print it out. In fact, I'll hold it up for you. So I don't have the dosages written on here, so you might want to write that down if you do this. This is just what we do. I recommend you talk to your vet and come up with your own schedule for what will work for you, but this is what we do. So at 2 weeks of age, we start our deworming schedule with a medication called pyrantel pamoate. Let's see if we can get this to focus. All right, so there's the medication. This is actually safe for humans, made for humans. There's the dosage for humans right there on the side of the bottle. If it's focused, I don't know. But I will actually take this myself and even give it to my children, but we only do that on a brand new bottle. After the bottle's been used in the dog yard or in the kennels, it's possible that it gets some contaminants in it. Although we try to be very clean, I don't double dip with the syringes. We pour into a little 30 ml bottle and we use that. And when the bottle gets low, we just pour a little bit more. All right, and that's how we keep the contents clean. But I'm kind of a germaphobe being a biologist, and so I will only take this if it's a brand new bottle, and I'll do that maybe once a year. I've never had any reason to take it, just I deal with pups, okay? I don't have any symptoms or anything like that. But this is prescribed by the company for animals at a dosage of 1 ml for every 10 pounds, okay? My vet says, in his opinion, in his experience, he thinks that dosage is too light. He recommends a dosage that's twice as strong, and he tells us to use 1 ml at every 5 pounds. I follow my veterinarian's recommendations. I'm not going to tell you to do that. Proceed at your own risks. Talk to your vet. But we use 1 ml of this for every 5 pounds. And we do this at 2 weeks, 4 weeks, and again at 6 weeks. After 6 weeks of age, I don't really deal with the pyrantel pamoate anymore. At 7 weeks of age, we use fenbendazole. Now, I should say on the pyrantel pamoate, it's a single dose each time every 2 weeks. So it's 1 day. You wait 2 to 3 weeks, do it again 1 day. Okay, 1 ml every 5 pounds for us. This here is different. This is fenbendazole, and fenbendazole needs to be given at 3 days in a row. Okay, these two bottles are Safeguard brand, but it's also available in a brand called Panicure. It's the same stuff. This large bottle cost about $400, so this is not cheap. And I don't carry this around in the yard when we use it. I shake this up really good, and I pour about half full in this canister. Okay. Now, when this gets low, we clean it out really good, let it dry really good, and then we will reuse this canister. Maybe that is disliked, but that's what we do. And we'll give that 3 days in a row at 7 weeks of age. And the dosage for that prescribed is 1.1 ml for every 5 pounds. We give 1 ml for every 4 pounds. I dose a little bit heavy, not a lot heavy. It's very safe medication, and we use 1 ml for every 4 pounds. So if I've got a 10-pound pup, I give it 2.5 mils. A mil, by the way, is the same as a cc, a cubic centimeter and 1 milliliter. Okay, this bottle here is 1,000 milliliters. All right, so we'll do that at 7 weeks and then again at 10 weeks of age. Now, after that, there's really no reason why we will need to use this anymore unless I see symptoms. This does roundworms, whipworms, hookworms, and some types of tapeworms. The pyrantel pamoate does not do tapeworms, okay? But there's really no reason your puppies at that age should have tapeworms, because they catch those from fleas, and why would your puppies have fleas unless you have a dirty yard? So just keep fleas away, and you shouldn't have to deal with this ever. And if you do have fleas, then by the time they're 7 weeks of age, you need to treat them. Okay? Now, why do I not have fleas? I've been puzzled about that myself. I live in Mississippi. We live in the woods. We have a kennel, yes, a concrete slab that's washed off regularly, but for years we've kept dogs in the woods as well. Just never had a flea problem. I think it's because we use a high-fat food, but it could also be related to the next dewormer that we use once a month. Once the dogs get to be 3 to 4 months of age, and it's not an exact time, because we always do this medication on the first of the month, or nearly plus or minus a couple of days on the first of the month. So if, let's say, a dog turns 3 months old on the 15th, I'm not going to give it. But if the dog turns 4 months old on the 15th, I am going to give it, because we just do it on the first of the month. So on the first of the month, that puppy would have been 3.5 months old. So I'll give it to that puppy. Okay. But at 2.5 months, I'm not going to give it. And that's because ivermectin is potentially harmful to certain breeds of dogs. Certain herders are sensitive to ivermectin. But even most herders are fine with this. Talk to your vet before you use it. We use ivermectin once a month to prevent heartworm, but it does also treat other types of worms, and belly worms. Okay, so your roundworms are going to be treated with this as well. The hooks and whips. However, if I see any symptoms in a dog that the dog has belly worms, I'll go back and use this 3 days in a row. Okay, that's why we buy a large quantity of it. This is given once a month to prevent heartworms, and the dosage of this is 1 cc for every 100 pounds of dog. Okay, so if you have a 10-pound dog, you just give 1/10 of a cc. If you have a 50-pound dog, you give a half a cc, which is a half of mil, 1/2 of a milliliter. Okay, next, Albon. Albon is not a dewormer. It treats a disease called coccidiosis. Now, a very clean kennel should not really get coccidiosis, but we will still get it even though we maintain a lot of cleanliness here, and that's because birds and lizards and other animals will carry that. And when those animals get into your kennel and defecate in the food or water, the puppies can pick it up. It's great for that. It's good to have on hand, and so that's what we have it here for. Okay, Albon. Come on, there you go. Okay, all right. Now, next, our vaccination. This is what we vaccinate with when it comes to 7 weeks of age. Oops, yeah, I got that right. All right, I thought I had it upside down, but come on, focus. Did it focus yet? Let me try it. There you go. So now you got it focused. We use this vaccination. We get our vaccinations only from a veterinarian. I will not buy vaccinations from a feed store. The reason why I will not get vaccinations from a feed store, yes, they cost more at a veterinarian. And I'm not saying a veterinarian has better vaccinations. Maybe they do. But the main reason why I get our vaccinations from the veterinarian is because a veterinarian has people that are trained in the medical field. Plus, everybody at the office, when these come in, they're supposed to be refrigerated. So they're going to have a cold pack in them. And the people in the vet office know to take its contents out of the box and put it in the refrigerator. We have a refrigerator in our shed that we keep our vaccinations in. I buy them from the vet for that reason, because at a feed store, most feed stores have a lot of employees, and you're going to have people that are in high school receiving the boxes and are told by management or to deal with those boxes and put them up correctly. And because of the turnover of employees at feed stores, I don't really trust the feed stores to have, 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old people that have been properly trained on refrigerating these packages as soon as they come in. So if you get a vaccination from a feed store or like some sort of pet store, in my opinion, there's a high probability that those packages were not refrigerated as soon as they came in, so they may not work. They may not cause any harm, but if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, that is harm enough. We will do our first vaccination about 6.5 to 7 weeks of age. Some people will vaccinate earlier than that, but the way vaccinations work is they generally don't kickstart that puppy's immune system until the maternal antibodies have been depleted. So if you're vaccinating your puppy at 5 weeks of age, that vaccination is not really doing any good in most cases, because at 5 weeks of age, those puppies are still residing off of the maternal antibodies. And in fact, that vaccination may deplete those antibodies, and now you have a puppy that's unprotected because it didn't have enough stimulus to make its own antibodies, or it was too young to make its own antibodies, but yet you've depleted the maternal antibodies that the puppy obtained from the colostrum the first couple of days after whelping. All right, so we vaccinate at 6.5 to 7 weeks of age. Then we will repeat that again at 10 weeks of age and again at 13 weeks of age. Okay, that we're done with those type of vaccinations. We're done with that for a year. At 1 year, we'll give a booster, and then after that, we just give a booster every 3 years. Also, at 3 months of age, we give a rabies vaccination. Then at 1 year, we give a booster. And then after that, we just give a rabies booster every 3 years. Now, in some areas, you may be required by law to do it every year. And in some areas, you can do what's called a titer. And they'll measure the antibody level in the blood to see if a booster is needed or not. And people that want to avoid vaccinations will use the titer method to see if they even need a booster or not. I, generally speaking, don't worry about it. I do this one at 7 weeks, 10 weeks, and 13 weeks, then 1 year, and then once every 3 years after that. And we do our rabies at 3 months, 1 year, and then every 3 years after that. So anyway, there you go. I hope you enjoyed the video and found this content to be beneficial. Anything else beyond that is kind of a go by the fly. Depends on what's the situation. You know, cuts and bruises. I like to injuries. I like to treat with, if I have a cut, I treat with soapy water, rinse it clean. Then I'll do a one-time treatment with hydrogen peroxide. People debate about whether hydrogen peroxide should be used because not only does it kill the bad cells, it also kills the good cells. In my opinion, it's only killing the first layer. So I will sacrifice that first layer of good cells in order to get rid of all the bad cells. So I'll use hydrogen peroxide for one treatment. After that, I don't use hydrogen peroxide anymore. We'll just use betadine. And if in some cases, if the situation is severe enough, we will take the betadine or iodine providine or providine iodine, and we'll mix it with a sugar. A granulated sugar has a tremendous shelf life, and that's because it's an antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. Betadine or providine iodine here is also an antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. You take this and you mix it with sugar and create a slurry that looks like a slushy. You can cover a wound and wrap a wound, and the infection will almost always go away. You can also use raw honey, but if you use raw honey, you want it filtered but not heated. Okay, raw honey, there's Minoko honey, or I forget how you say it, that's going to be very concentrated in the antiviral, antifungal, and antibacterial properties. But the Manuku honey or whatever is kind of hard to come by. But other honey can work as well. Mix it with sugar or betadine or providine iodine. I think that's what they call it. I always forget if it's providine iodine or iodine providine, and I don't have my glasses on it, but that's what it is. It's going to be a betadine type thing. So there's just some basic husbandry tips, and I hope you find this video beneficial. Y'all take care. Have a blessed day.